Namaste everyone, welcome to another session of Yoga with Stefano. Let's get a block and slide it under, sit on top of it as we start in Varasana, our hero pose, just working the calves out of the way, making sure that we're feeling comfortable with the ankles and knees. If not lift up higher, that's essential. Lengthen your spine and lower your shoulders, and we're gonna start by just calming the mind as usual. Deep breath in, sigh out, and once more. And you can do it one more time if you need, otherwise just softly close your eyes and watch your breath. It's important to start the right way. This is going to be a slightly shorter class and designed to mobilize and stretch your body, perfect for a middle of the day yoga break if you like. And you can use it also in the morning. In the evening you prefer something longer, but you can also do that if you are short of time, watching your body breathing, letting go of any of those excitements and worries that have marked the day so far. All those meetings and Zoom calls will happen again later, and you just close your eyes and just let it all flow past. And the start is just about getting the mind in the right state for the practice of yoga. Whichever way we're breathing, we're going to become more aware of the way we breathe, and we're going to change it to complete yoga breathing. So for that, if you are a bit rusty, you just need to focus on the abdomen. Exhale through the nose. When you're ready to inhale, inhale through the nose, allowing the abdomen to expand. That creates a lot of space in your lower lungs. And then you keep inhaling as you inflate the lungs completely. Exhale from the top, through the rib cage, and finally squeezing the air out, drawing the abdomen back towards the spine. And another cycle, continuing at your own pace. Simple breath, but it's a full breath. And importantly, in and out through the nose. Importantly, just allowing the abdomen to expand. And that expansion is linked with relaxation for the mind. It's just linked to your parasympathetic nervous system, slowing you down. That's what you want. Most of us are always in overrun mode, just always revved up. We need to calm down, and then we just enjoy a lot more the practice of a little bit of yoga. All right, just a little bit of warm-up before we get into it. So let's open our eyes and lower our arms down alongside the torso. Inhale, lifting both arms up. Interlace the fingers, press up into the hands, turn up to gaze at the backs of your hands, nice and long arms, stretching the shoulders, breathing out here. Inhale one more time, reaching up even taller. Exhale, bringing the arms down and behind, interlace the fingers. Inhale, arch back slightly as you stretch the arms back. Inhale, exhale, bring the arms forward, interlace the fingers, press forward, chin to the chest, shoulders down, stretching the tops of your shoulders and the space between the shoulder blades. Inhale, lift back up to where we started. Separate the hands. Exhale, bend to the left. Slowly, left hand reaches the floor, right arm arcs overhead. Feel that both knees have even weight into the floor. Inhale, slowly bringing the body back to vertical. Exhale, slowly, right hand to the floor, left arm arcs overhead. And just importantly to have level hips, level knees. Inhale, lift back up to where we started. Exhale, open the torso to the left, lowering both arms. Right hand outside of left thigh, left fingertips right behind you. We are in a twist. Inhale here. Exhale, moving a little bit deeper and taking your chin over the left shoulder. Nice and soft. You don't want to be forcing the movement. You don't want the twist to be forced. It's just the spine taking you there. Inhale, breathing fully, lifting those arms up, becoming aware of how the two sides feel different. Those are the oblique muscles that you stretched. Exhale to the other side. And just working with the breath like we do in every yoga pose. Just inhaling with your complete yoga breath and undoing the pose slightly. Exhale to come a little bit deeper. Chin over the right shoulder. Becoming aware that your spine is still fully vertical, fully lengthened, and the only movement is the spine just winding on itself very gently. Try to still breathe into your abdomen. You might find it constrained, but that's how you bring a lot of oxygen nutrition to your internal muscles and organs, giving yourself sort of a massage from inside. Inhale, bringing everything back to front, lifting both arms up. Exhale, bring your arms out and hinge forward slightly, just feeling the hips there. You want to have a long spine, fully lengthened without any rounding to take you down further, so it's all happening at the hips, and that's where you'll be feeling it. Inhale, coming back to where we started. So bring your hands behind your feet, lift your hips so you can slide that block away for the time being, and bring your hands just behind. Lift your pelvis just slightly so that you can align your legs with your torso and get a little bit of a quad stretch. We're not looking at a back bend here, so just a stretch for your quads. And then release, step one foot forward, step the other foot forward, and just place your buttocks onto the floor, forearms on the floor to come down, line a little bit. I'll just turn this way. We're gonna do one initial back arch for this session. Make sure that your feet are hip width apart and your knees are also hip width apart. Energize feet and inner thighs so that the knees keep that position, and then you inhale and lift the pelvis up. And at some point you'll feel that the spine wants to arch, and you maintain that energy all the way from the feet to the pelvic floor, lifting up a little bit more. This is bridge pose, first back arch. You want to distribute the arch along the full length of the spine. Exhale, slowly coming back to the floor. So that was just a trial. We are going to repeat, going a little bit higher if you like. So energizing the feet and legs. Inhale, lift. And maintaining the knees apart from each other. Look for a bit more of a spinal arch here. And we are activating the glutes, the hamstrings and the spinal extensors, and also starting to practice with arches, as we'll be doing a couple of more later. Exhale. Arches are naturally activating, so they can give you a little bit of energy if you're running low halfway through the day. And let's bring both knees into the chest as a counter pose, squeezing them in, allowing the lower back to round off the floor into this pose called Apanasana. Breathe into the abdomen and release. We're gonna do just a couple of rolls along the length of the spine, lifting the head and just rocking back and forth a few times. And then we're just gonna stop halfway, balancing on the sitting bones, lengthening that spine, squeezing the knees into the chest, maintaining that length. We wanna move into both pose. So for both pose or Navasana, it's important to maintain that length in the spine. And if you want to go further, you can just bring your arms up with energy parallel to each other. If you want to go further, you lift your feet, maintaining a bend in the knees. If you want the full pose, you straighten the legs, you gaze between the big toes, all as long as you can do this, maintaining your spine nice and long, no shaking, at least no excessive shaking, and you don't want to feel that the lower back rounds and want to take you back to the floor behind you. And then we exhale, getting the knees bent and the soles of the feet back to the floor. We're going to place the hands again behind the pelvis, about a foot behind, and then spreading the fingers, pressing to the full surface of the hands, pressing to the feet. Inhale, lift your buttocks up, readjust so that the knees are right on top of your ankles and the shoulders are right on top of your wrists. Reverse tabletop, again activating hamstrings, glutes, spinal extensors, and also challenging a little bit the flexibility of your shoulders. If you feel pain there, just don't lift up too much. And exhale. This time we're going to bring the buttocks close to the heels, and then we're going to walk the hands in. Make sure that those feet separate a little bit wider from each other. You want to have them about mat width apart and pointing out slightly, maybe up to 45 degrees. Walking the hands in, lifting the buttocks. We're going to directly move into Malasana, or this yoga squat. Just allowing the triceps to gently press against the inner thighs, keeping the heels in contact with the floor, and just breathing there, just allowing gravity to do the rest of the work for you. Important to maintain the spine long, so you don't want to be rounding, so it's better to be higher up with a long spine that's trying to press down towards the floor by rounding the spine. So that really helps to achieve that stretch in the hips that we're trying to obtain with this pose. Just breathe into the abdomen. Excellent help for digestion. And then from here, hands come to the floor. What you can do is either walk or jump the feet all the way back, and then just lifting the pelvis up, keeping the knees bent, and working your way into downward facing dog. So it's essential to have those knees initially slightly bent, and then what you do is just press into the surface of the hands, lower your shoulders, and press your abdomen towards the thighs. If you feel this is hard to do, maintaining a long spine and long arms, you can walk your feet slightly further back, and that might work better. It's essential to maintain your spine long, your arms long, and feeling a stretch in the shoulders as you bring the shoulders down towards the floor in downward facing dog. Inhale here to bring the shoulders over the wrists and then feet together. We're in high plank. If you're not up for it, you can bring the knees to the floor and it will make it a lot lighter. Otherwise, practicing up here with me, just rotating the upper arm slightly outward. That helps to keep it safe for the shoulders. And 2 breaths here. And then we just revert back into downward facing dog. So pressing back, lengthening the shoulders, separating the feet to be hip width apart, and stretching the shoulders. And from here, knees to the floor, and coming up to all fours. So bringing your hands to be under the shoulders and your knees under the hips. You're on the tops of your feet. Let's mobilize the spine a little bit more. Inhaling to arch the spine, lifting collarbone and tailbone at the same time, stretching your abdominals, rotating your upper arm outward again. Exhaling to do exactly the opposite, separating the shoulder blades, rounding the whole spine, and stretching all those back muscles. Cat cows, a few of these to mobilize and warm up the spine a little bit more. Very gentle back arches as we go up. And once more. And then we come back to neutral. And from here we're going to inhale to lift the right leg off the floor. Not too high, not too low, roughly aligned with the height of your hips. Reaching back, rotating that right ankle one direction, other direction. You might do some snaps and clicks. And that's all fine. Just allow that mobility to be re-established, and then stopping there, inhaling once more to lift the left arm up if that's available to you, and just lengthening through your body. Still breathing with complete yoga breathing as much as possible. Try to keep that breath flowing throughout the class. And with the next exhalation, the left hand comes to the floor. We are going to bend that back knee, and if you like, we can just open our torso to the left, sweep that left arm till it catches the back foot from the little toe side, and then bring the top shoulder back to where it was, right on top of the bottom shoulder, left over right, and just pressing with that foot into the hand so that we maintain tension in that left arm. So a bit of a spinal twist here, and then exhale, slowly bringing the left hand back to the floor and right knee back to the floor. We are going to now keep the hips where they are, right on top of the knees, walking the hands forward as we lower the shoulders down till we can bring the forehead onto the floor. And this is our puppy dog pose. So this is how a downward dog should feel. In case this feels very different from the downward dog, just try to reproduce this feeling of stretching in the shoulders, the armpit area especially, next time we practice a downward dog. Inhale, lifting your gaze slightly and walking those hands right to 45, and lowering your forehead one more time without changing the position of the hips, stretching more strongly outside of your left arm and the left side of the torso. Inhale, lift your gaze, walk the hands by 90 degrees to the 45 at the left, and lower down. Inhale, lift, walking the hands back to where they were, and then we come back to our all fours. So we're going to now do the stretch on the other side, lifting the left leg up and rotating the left ankle one direction, other direction. And then the right arm lifts, and feeling that imaginary pull, lengthening your whole body, lengthening your spine. Inhale here. This time we try to do the transition without placing the right hand on the floor first. If you like, bend the left knee, bring the left foot up, and sweep the right arm out to your right. Catch that back foot from the little toe side, and then press back with the foot into the hand to maintain the tension as you bring the top shoulder back so your torso stays in one plane. And then to release, slowly bringing the torso back to center, right hand to the floor, left knee back to the floor where it was. And from here we're going to start rounding the spine, chin to the chest, walking the hands in, and as the hands come close to the knees, you start to inhale to lift and unwind the spine up, lower, middle, upper back. And then we lift both arms up, hands together, exhale, hands to prayer at the heart. While we're here, we're going to attempt a bit of a stronger back arch. So we've done a couple of back arches to warm up. So let's see where we can go. You don't want to overdo this one. So just tuck your toes under to start with, and then press your palms against the back of the pelvis, relaxing your upper body completely. Inhale here, we are going to move into Camel Pose or Ustrasana. As you exhale, you're starting to arch back. So not bend at the hips, but just using the spine to slowly arch back. And keep the chin to the chest initially. So energy in your inner thighs, energy in the pelvic floor. Pelvic floor lift is equivalent to the muscles you're using when you want to stop a flow of urine mid-flow. So by engaging slightly those muscles, you're going to keep your lower back a little bit safer. So if you're happy here, you can stay here. Just importantly, you want to have that pelvis in place. You don't want to drag the pelvis back with you in the movement. So if you can do that, then you can start to release one hand down to the respective heel and maybe the other hand. At that point, you have no support of your hands. So it's important that you have the full support of your pelvic floor and your core to allow you to safely come deeper into this pose. So the arch, like all our back bends, is distributed along the full length of the spine. Common mistake is to have that arch only happening at the bottom of the spine. And if you're in a good arching day, you can place your hands completely on your heels. And if your neck is completely healthy, you can release that back and give a stretch to your throat as well. Try to breathe completely still. And bringing the chin slowly back to the chest. One hand at a time back to the back of your pelvis, and then slow motion, we bring the spine to neutral, and then we come onto the tops of the feet. We round that spine to bring the forehead on the floor. Keep your hands onto your lower back, and this is a form of child pose or Malasana. Breathe completely into your abdomen, and that lifts your lower back, and then you get a massage by that lower back pressing to your hands, releasing completely any tension. And we're going to bring the hands forward now, stretch them forward completely. Inhale to lift your head off the floor, and coming up onto the knees, and like we did before, round the spine. Walk your hands towards the heels and inhale to lift back up to a vertical spine. From here, we're gonna simply step the left foot forward, hands to hip bones, and coming into a lunge. So this is a low lunge. If your right knee is a little bit in pain there, you may want to roll the mat or add something soft underneath. And just try to keep the spine in neutral, not arching, so a little bit more length for the front of the right leg. Inhale, lift both arms up, pistol grip here. Left knee tracks the left ankle here. Inhale one more time. Exhale, this time we expose the torso to the sky, and you're gazing up to the hands and just pressing strongly into both feet for balance and support. Inhale, back to neutral. Exhale, hands to prayer at the heart. Inhale here. Exhale, hinge forward, right hand next to the left foot, open the torso to the left and lift the left arm up. Just adding a twist to the lunge without changing the position of the lower body. If you like, and if it's available to you, you can try and catch that back foot with the left hand, drawing that left shoulder back to the same place where it was. So we don't want to add a rounding motion to the top of the spine, and just enjoy a quad stretch here. Otherwise, just staying in the open twist with the left arm up. Exhale, release that back foot, bring the torso back to center. Inhale and lift hands to our hip bones and swing the hips back as you straighten the left leg. Lift the toes off the floor. You can shuffle that left heel slightly further forward. Inhale here. Exhale, we're gonna just trying to look for a bit of a stretch for our left hamstrings. So you don't need to come down very much. There's no point in rounding the spine. In fact, rounding the spine will reduce the range of stretch you can achieve with this pose. Not looking to be too ambitious here, just working with the limits of your flexibility. You should be feeling enjoyable. And then we inhale, lift and micro bend that left knee so that we can bring the hands to the floor next to that left foot, and then we place that Left foot next to the right foot, tucking the toes and moving back to downward facing dog. And from downward dog, coming to high plank one more time. This time as we exhale, we bend both elbows to come into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale here, exhale to the floor. Inhale, energizing the lower body, pelvic floor. Start to lift up, keeping the elbows in, keeping the shoulders down, and arching using the full length of the spine. So quite a bit of arching available through this pose, Bhujangasana or Cobra. So keeping the elbows bent will allow you to reduce the load on that spine, but if it feels good, you can come up more and more, stretching the front of your torso as long as your pelvis stays on the floor. And then bending as you exhale to come back to the floor. Separating your feet, tucking the toes, and pressing back up to downward facing dog. And from here, knees to the floor, coming onto the tops of your feet, walking the hands in towards the knees, inhaling to come up one more time like we did before. Hands to your hip bones, and this time we are going to step the right foot forward and lunging. So check that that right knee doesn't go too far forward, otherwise it will be less than ideal for that knee. You want to keep it nice and safe. And stretch the front of the left leg so that the spine is completely neutral. Inhale, lifting both arms up, pistol grip or yoni mudra, and you just want to feel the energy here. Pressing strongly and evenly into both feet. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, arch back into Anjaneyasana or crescent moon. Gazing up at the hands. Inhale, lift back. Exhale, hands to prayer at the heart. And then exhale, hinge forward. Left hand to the mat next to your right foot. Open the torso to the right, reaching up with the right arm. Gazing up at the top hand, and optional, you can bend the back knee, catching that back foot from the little toe side, and just reopening just takes a little bit of length for your left quads here. You can still gaze over that right shoulder to make sure that your body is nicely aligned and you're not rounding the top of your spine to maintain the pose. Exhale, left foot back down, torso back to center. Inhale and lift, hands to hip bones, swing the hips back, and we're coming into the hamstring stretch. Exhalation to hinge forward. So it's all led by the hip creases, spine is long as neutral. It's important to move slowly so that you don't fall into the mistake of rounding your spine to come down and thinking you're doing the pose very deeply. In reality, you're just demonstrating you're good at rounding the spine, which typically we are all very good at. And just looking for that sweet spot where you're starting to stretch those hamstrings deeply but safely. And then we inhale to lift, micro bending the right knee. And then we place the hands either side of that right foot, stepping the right foot back, knees are next to each other, tucking the toes under. Inhale, downward facing dog. And one more time. Inhale, bringing the shoulders forward, feet together, high plank. Exhale to Chaturanga. Release to the floor. Inhale, lifting to Cobra. Giving us a bit of energy, these back arches, to keep going for the rest of the day. Exhale, bend the elbows, chin to the floor, separate your feet, tuck the toes, pressing up, downward dog. Now we're going to inhale to lift the left leg up towards the ceiling, three-legged dog, nice and high. Exhale, swing it through, left foot coming inside left hand, and then we inhale to lift directly up into our high lunge, scooping both arms up, palms facing each other. Exhale, sink a little bit deeper. So just wanting to check the alignment between the left knee and the left ankle. Spine is in neutral, back leg is straight. Breathe in here. Inhalation lifts you and energizes you. The exhalation allows you to sink and get a little bit deeper into that stretch. Inhale one more time, and as you exhale, you bring the arms out to a T, you turn to open your torso to the right, and then you place the right foot on the floor at 90 degrees, checking that you're aligned heel to heel, and then check that your left knee tracks the left ankle. Typically, you would want to knock in because of lack of flexibility of your inner thighs and inner hips. Just work towards rotating outwards that upper leg. Gaze over the left hand, warrior two. Inhale. And as you exhale, you extend the torso over the left leg and you bring the left hand down. It will reach the floor somewhere, possibly at 45 degrees from the little toe. It might help to have a block, by the way, so if you need a block, you want to have a block at 45 degrees from the little toe. You can take your time to get that, and then the weight comes completely onto the left foot and you're lifting the right leg up and the right arm points straight up, the left leg straight, and it becomes as much as possible a two-dimensional pose. You can release the left fingers from the block or the floor. You can bring the left hand to your left ankle and just holding it for an additional breath. And then you microbend the left knee and you place the right foot back to where it was. Inhale, lift, and just turn the left foot so that the 2 feet are parallel to each other. Nice and long. We're going to come down to do a forward fold. So hands on your hip bones, thumbs just either side of your spine, your lower back. Inhale here. Exhale, slowly hinging forward. Just watch the spine with the eye of your mind. Just watch the spine being soft and neutral. You don't want to be rounding, definitely not at this stage. So ideally just take an inward breath to lift and lengthen the spine, and an outward breath to try and come down a little bit deeper while you keep the same length of the spine. And this is a classic pose where you don't need to be in a rush. You can just slowly allow the breath to calm your mind, and with the calm mind the body will just respond by giving you a little bit more stretching. And if you can reach the floor, you can bring the fingertips to that floor and you can keep traveling. Breathing in and out. And if you're very flexible, you might be already with your forearms on the floor, maybe the crown of the head on the floor, but there's not much point in doing that if you're rounding the spine. It will create a lot of tension for your lower back and the SI joint, that the space which links the sacrum to the back of your pelvis. Let your breath be deep and slow, and this already has a calming effect. Feeling your inner thighs and your hamstrings starting to stretch to the point that it feels really good. That's the goal. You don't want to feel that you are going beyond your limit. That would just cause strain, and typically you might injure your muscles here. You might even injure your tendons, which is even worse and requires longer time to heal. So just play it safe. And then we are all nice and relaxed, ready to inhale, to slowly lift back to halfway, bending both knees, hands over the thighs, and lifting up to a vertical spine. And then we just, if we are really wide, just bringing the feet heel and toe closer to each other, turning the left foot towards the front, swiveling onto the balls of the back foot. We are back on a high lunge, and we just bring the hands to be next to the front foot, step the left foot back, we come back to a downward facing dog. And now we do the other side. Inhale to lift the right leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, swing through right foot inside the right hand, lifting up into our high lunge. Exhale. Just lengthening the front of the back leg completely straight, and just watching your right knee tracking the right ankle. Breathing here, energizing to lift, and exhale to sink a little bit deeper. Inhale one more time. Exhale, arms out, torso turns to your left, and sole of the left foot comes to the floor, 90 degrees, heel to heel alignment, warrior two, gaze over the right hand. Watch for that alignment. Rotate your right upper leg outward to get the knee in alignment with the right ankle. Inhale here. Exhale, extend the torso with the right leg. Bring the right hand down to the floor or block. Left arm up, and then you just come and lift the left leg up, straightening the right leg, and you are in the half moon pose, trying to maintain it two-dimensional as much as possible. You can lift the right hand off the block or the floor, placing it onto your ankles. Much more of a balanced challenge. And then micro bend the right knee and place the back foot back to where it was. Inhale, lift, turn the right foot to be parallel to the left foot, and we're back where we were. Inhale again, lengthen your spine, relax, exhale, come back just to halfway this time, so you can place your hands onto the floor. Let's walk the hands to the left foot. If possible, you can place the right hand onto your left foot, otherwise just reach wherever you can without rounding the spine. Inhale here, exhale, lift the left arm up right on top of you. So adding a twist on top of that forward fold. And then exhale back to center, walking the hands through the center over to the left foot, right foot, left hand over the right foot. Inhale here, exhale, lift, right arm up, gaze up at that top hand, and exhale, come back to the floor and back under your heart, bending both knees. Each hand comes on top of the respective thigh, and we lift back up. So from here we're going to again turn, just heel and toe your feet together, and we're giving a shake to both legs. So we're going to come down to the floor to finish off. Let's inhale, both arms up, lengthen, come up onto the balls of the feet, try to stabilize yourself there. And then as you exhale, bring the heels back to the floor, keep the same length of the spine, bend both knees, and you come sit into an imaginary chair, Utkatasana there. Breathing, exhaling, bending a little bit more, and then bring your hands to the heart center, come down until you have to lift your heels, and then you come sitting onto your heels. Inhale here, exhale, open the torso to the right. Very simple twist, but check that your knees are level with each other. If the left knee goes further forward than the right, then you're twisting with your hips, which is not what you want. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, opening your heart to the left. Inhale, back to center. And fingertips to the floor, we come sitting down. And let's finish off with a another hip stretch. Let's cross our legs in a particular way, mid-shin. So you want to have each foot aligning roughly with your opposing knee, having your ankles flexed and a good gap of about a foot between your back calf and the groin. And from here we're going to inhale, lifting and lengthening the spine, bringing both arms up. Exhale, we're going to come forward, broad arms, hinging from the hip creases so the spine doesn't round to bring you deeper into the pose. It's all happening with the hips. So there's no rush again. So this is a stretch for the outside of your hips. That's where you're most likely to feel it. It's called Agnistanbasana or Firelog pose. It's best practice with a deep breath, and as you breathe deeply into your abdomen, you lift slightly, and as you exhale, you come down a little bit deeper. You can have your hands in front of you, and if you're quite flexible, you might be able to have your elbows on the floor. It's again up to you, as long as you're not just coming down by rounding the spine. You want to still really feel it in the hips, and this is just a nice lengthener for the outside of our hips and a little bit the back of the hips. So you'll feel those glutes, not the big one, but the meds and the means stretching, and those bands, those muscles running outside of your leg, as well as the fascia, getting a nice stretch here. Also calming, preparing us for a bit of relaxation. In the next inhale, we just walk the hands in and lift back to vertical spine, and we swap the legs to get the stretch on the other side. So again, just crossing at mid-shin, each foot aligns with the opposing knee, flexing those ankles, inhaling to lift. Exhale, coming forward. You find some resistance, you just pause there and you just allow the breath to get you through that resistance. Softly, every inhalation, lift and lengthen the spine. Every exhalation, you're going a little bit deeper into that stretch. And just start watching your breath slowing down as we prepare for a little bit of relaxation, which will be the conclusive bit of the class. Just lowering the heart rate through some surrendering poses like this one is the best way to move into a relaxation phase. And inhaling to slowly walk the hands in and lift. And we're going to place the soles of the feet on the floor, giving a shake to both legs. And we're going to come down into Shavasana, which is a very simple pose. It means the pose of the corpse. You're just going to have to be still as much as possible. So typically what works well is to have your feet out, splay, your arms out at an angle from the torso, palms facing the ceiling. The key here will be to bring your focus to your breath and to your body, and to leave your other thoughts away. It's important also to avoid moving continuously, because that is also destructive. So just do those micro readjustments now, so for your hips and your shoulders and your neck, so that you're comfortable there. And then once you're satisfied and convinced that you can be steady there for a couple of minutes, just let go and start watching your breath. And we're going to progress through the practice of Yoga Nidra. That means yoga sleep. And that basically takes your mind and your body away from this world and brings it to a higher level. So we're just starting to relax from the bottom of your body. And as I mentioned, a different part of the body, you bring your attention there and just try to breathe, and as you exhale, let go of that part. So we're going to relax the feet, the ankles, the calves and shins, the knees, thighs and hamstrings, and the hips. One breath to completely let go of your legs and your lower body. Relaxing the spine from the sacrum to the middle back and upper back, shoulders and neck. And one breath to completely let go of your back and your spine. Relax your arms and relax your face. Your eyes are softly closed. Your face holds no expression. And enjoying this state of perfect relaxation for the body. We're trying to also keep the mind under control. And so you can keep watching this restful body, or you can bring the mind to the breath, which is a simple place to let the mind rest. So if you're able to enjoy this feeling of freedom for the mind, even for a couple of breaths, that's really a beautiful relief, and it's really a powerful tool that we have to just let go. We're going to move for the very last bit of the class to the practice of meditation. So it's an even more focused form of concentration for the mind. But for that we'll need to come up sitting, and we want to do that really softly so that we don't agitate the body and the mind again. So let's just reawaken the body first with some micro movements to fingers and toes. And maybe you can bring your arms overhead and give a stretch to your arms and shoulders, stretch into your feet. And if you like, you can bring your knees to the chest, squeeze them in, allowing the lower back to round off the floor, drawing some circles, one direction, another direction for complete relief. And then at your own pace, rolling out onto one side into recovery. And just stay there into recovery as long as you need. And we're gonna work our way up to a seated position to finish off with a little bit of group meditation. So we're gonna practice kirtan. It's a call and response, the chanting of mantras. So place the mind onto the sound and try to keep it there and concentrate on it. Just feel free to join whenever you feel comfortable with it. I'm going to use the mantra Om Hari Om. Turn. Thanks everyone for following. See you next time. Namaste.